gets his third goal of the term. They're putting on a clinic. Embarrassing for the Saints.
Interesting, really interesting for the Saints. Do you salvage some pride now, or do you put the cue in the rack and get ready for next week? It's just been one of those nights where they've been outplayed in every facet. We mentioned how well the Carlton coaching staff have coached and obviously prepared for the game. They've come up with a game plan and executed it perfectly. And Eddie Betts, 3 goals in about 5 minutes.
So 117 to 53. Tom, think back to 08. Collingwood beat you by 86 points, I think, in the middle of the year at the MCG. You didn't lose another game until the grand final. But how did you get over that so quickly? It
was interesting. That's what I was sort of alluding to. You hate to say we put the cue in the rack, but you're not going to salvage anything from the game. So you just dust yourself off and get ready for the remainder of the season.
86 points it was in round 9 against Collingwood that night. So
remember it vividly.
So Dawson, who ironically went forward in the match last year against Carlton and kicked the winning goal.
But we are seeing St Kilda post Nick Riewoldt. I mean, with and without Nick Riewoldt, I mean, you can't be just one of the best couple of players in the game and not be sorely missed from any team.
And what hasn't changed, Lee, is that they've kicked 7 goals again tonight, as they did last week against the Bulldogs, and similar, I think 6 against Port the week before. It's just that the opposition tonight have got hold of it. Well, here's Dawson. Well, they just can't buy one from a set shot.
Just want to pose a question. We've all spoken about the importance of Nick Riewoldt, and probably the most singular important player to a side. Chris Judd's got to put his hand up. What he's been able to do since he's come back into the side with the whole Carlton team lift around him, it's just been phenomenal.
No doubt. That was a beautiful kick in too by Russell onto the chest of Betts, whose confidence is sky high at the moment. Speak of the devil.
It's a long time since we've seen St Kilda's defensive mechanisms just cut apart. Normally they concede 8 goals a game. Well, conceding 18, that's just monstrous for them.
Judd out of defence then. Devil a bit harsh. There's a push in the back. Advantages played. It was a Saints free. Hayes.
Great hands.
Well done. Man falling to the ground. Milne gave it to Dawson. Well, he's getting closer.
And it could have been
degrees.
And it could have been more too. Jared Waite started the game like a house on fire and missed a couple of goals, but they set the tone by getting the ball in quickly into dangerous parts of the forward 50.
Because it hasn't been by inside weight of numbers inside 50. They've got 43 at the moment, but 18 goals from 43 against St Kilda. That's mind-boggling.
Dennis talked about this as the biggest score since 09, Lee. It's only the second time a team has managed 100 points against St Kilda that time. The other one was when the Bombers knocked them off famously last year when they went to round 20 unbeaten. So Jamison back. Good kick from Russell. And then down the line. They've done this down the line so well. Garland, who's been such a big part of this win, a second bounce, runs inside 50, looks up and finds Waite.
They've turned it into a track meet, haven't they?
If you, as I said, the Jamaican relay team. If you were at home and you're playing, then you'd have the sprinklers on all week, wouldn't you?
Where's Usain Bolt? He must be out there somewhere.
Just to reel off some stats about their defence, they concede an average of 60 points a game, so we're up well over 100. The opposition only goes inside the forward 50 44 times, so we're about that. But the big one is the percentage of score once in. They average 18, and this will now be 45% for Carlton tonight.
And Jarrod Waite gets a 4th goal. They've got so many contributors, Carlton, tonight.
You sense that they'll really enjoy this one, the Carlton supporters tonight, you reckon?
I think so. I mean, they really have been wonderful, exciting, kicked a good score. And just when you see a couple of those small forwards just having a look over their shoulder, seeing the chasing defender and saying, well, I'm keeping going.
Well, they've done Geelong and St Kilda by 6 goals and about 11 goals in, 3 weeks, haven't they? Pretty good scalps.
There's Chris Judd, 24 possessions. Interesting, talking about his form tonight. He's averaging 31 possessions starting this season, but only 17 in 11 career games against the Saints. Now, I suppose most of that credit goes to Barnacle Baker, as the hand pass comes across to Jacobs. He'd got it from Yaron. Now it's with Lucas. Ricochets into the waiting arms, though, of Waite. It's been that sort of night. Eventually, he's taken down from behind. Clark got him. Goddard falling to the ground, goes out wide. McWalter backing off out there was Montagna. Ray, Del Santo just pops it in the air, and McWalter would run on down towards half forward. Of course, Baker, more than any other player, was able to get under the skin of Chris Judd. There was no love lost there. Judd was suspended for getting Baker in Perth when he was playing for the West Coast Eagles. And now it's with Dawson about 35 metres out directly in front.
Mate, you took 2 steps forward as you're trying to get up, right?
And you think any of those Carlton supporters with the old nut jumpers with 25 on them might be thinking about changing about now? All of a sudden, Feb's 80 or 90 goals seems like it's been pretty well covered.
So Dawson, at least he's had a couple of shots.
He has.
Missed both to the right, so he's allowed for it. And misses way left.
I reckon they might take the 2 off the Fev and just leave it with the 5.
Just the 5, yep. That'd be good. Easy way of doing it. That costs you nothing.
Do you feel like in the last 3 weeks they've climbed Mount Everest and K2, Geelong and St Kilda? I mean, they're the 2 giants in the last 3 years. Speaking of Carlton, they did Geelong by 6. And they're doing the Saints by 6 plus 6.
I think if you look at their 3 weeks, including tonight, you'd take 2 and 1 with the current form of Collingwood as well.
Well, they've had the 3 toughest teams, I reckon, in the comp on paper in 3 weeks, haven't they?
I just couldn't think of the 3rd highest peak. That's why I ran out of it.
It's like the high scoring loss against Collingwood. I mean, Collingwood kicked 26. Okay, that's bad, but they still kicked 16.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, their scoring power looks pretty good.
Geez, good game next Sunday too with Port Adelaide suddenly with Carlton over there. 5 and 2 versus 4 and 3. Montagna inside. Goddard, good enough from there. Yep. He gets it. Not much to cheer about for the Saints, though.
We spoke about Goddard and highlighted him as St Kilda's best player. He's been serviceable. I think I was probably a bit unfair. It's almost best of a bad bunch. You don't want to say it that way, but he's had the 25 possessions. 11 of those have been contested. 4 tackles, a goal. Probably just hasn't had the freedom that he's had in the past to deliver the ball forward.
Yep.
Goddard with the goal. As you can see, still a massive margin, 61 points. Tony Hayes has gone out of the game in the second half, just the 10 possessions. Still pretty good by a mere mortal standards. Well done by Gardner, just slapped it down, taken away Montagna. Good mark in defence, just soaring over the pack. Russell. And I just can't say enough about this guy. He's the most improved player in the competition, I think. As Gibbs goes to the outer side, and the mark is taken out there by Lucas.
And St Kilda, I think the area where they've fallen down the most has been their forward third. They've gone, we saw the inside 50s, they got in 39 times for 8 goals. Admittedly, they've been a bit inaccurate. I guess the inaccuracy sort of weights that lack of forward conversion.
Russell, men on in the middle, at least momentarily. Gibbs has got it now. Just through the interchange gates. Jamison offers a lead. That's ignored. Needs a deft kick, and that's one. Over the short man. Well, the tall man who was short, more correctly, Kazitsky. And in front of Geary. That was a very nice kick from Jamison. Or whoever had the ball. I don't think it was Jamison. Doesn't matter. Scotland's got it. Kicks beyond the wing, down towards half forward. Cruiser edged underneath it. Suddenly, everything's falling into place.
Decides to load it up and goes to full forward. Oh, terrific mark, Del Santo. But he's had such a quiet night, no influence at all. Hard to imagine him having such a passive evening, isn't it? Out wide, Dawson. Might have said, I've had enough of shooting for goal. Back to another guy who we haven't seen tonight, and Fisher. I'm dying to ask you about Gibbs, because we talked about Goddard and Gibbs, and you talked a lot about it, Tom, at the start of the night. I mean, you've talked about Goddard. What about Gibbs's effort tonight? Have you seen that?
Yeah, look, Gibbs has been a part of the reason why Goddard hasn't perhaps been as effective as he's been in the past. One of a number of winners. I mean, Carlton have got winners on every line. I think you'd struggle to find 3 St Kilda players have won their direct position on the ground tonight.
Well, that summed up a bit of the night. I mean, it was a poor kick by Jamison, which doesn't happen too often, but St Kilda